Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Monix. I trust you're all doing very well. Yes, I'm also doing very well. It's a beautiful day. Yeah, I can't complain. So guys, today I just want to discuss something really serious with you. These are issues that are considered hot issues amongst African migrants or immigrants who are parenting in the West. And I just feel like there's a need for me to bring these topics or these issues out here so that everyone can learn, can be prepared for what's coming, and also for those who are currently parenting in Africa or in the global south and are thinking of migrating or immigrating to the West. So these are some issues that you would have to face or think about or address or worry about or pray about when you relocate to the West. And when I say West, I'm referring to countries in Europe, countries in North America, South America. Yeah, South America, somewhat. Yeah, but mostly I would say in the US, Canada, the UK, yeah, and some other big countries in Europe. Yes. So what are these issues? The first issue is the issue of lack of respect amongst kids, or the culture shock that comes with lack of respect or no culture of respect amongst younger ones in the West. So for those of us who are really Africans, and I would say maybe from Nigeria, we're really big on the culture of respect. You know how we want everybody to call us sir, madam, uncle, auntie. You want people to bow when they talk to you. You want people to kneel down when they greet you in the morning or in the afternoon. Guys, the shocker here is that in the West, all of those things are not really part of the culture. I said really, they're not even part of the culture. Yes, I will use the US as an example because that is where I currently live. Nobody's going to kneel down to greet you in the morning. Nobody's going to call you sir or madam when you get to work in the morning. Nobody's going to bow when they are greeting you or saying hello to you when you get to work in the morning, even if you're the biggest boss. So you need to get that into your head that in the West, what we consider our culture of respect does not exist in the West. What we call our culture of respect in Africa does not exist in the West. Those things don't exist. I'm not saying those in the West don't have a culture of respect. They do have a culture of respect, but what they consider respect is totally different from how we see it and how we portray respect, how we manifest respect back home in Africa. So for instance, in Nigeria, children will call their parents daddy, mommy, and depending on the language they speak, let me say in Yoruba language, you say daddy ekarosa, mommy ekaroma. Here in the US, children, younger people call their parents, call older people by their first name. So you see a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old call you 30-year-old, 40-year-old by your first name. So you need to get used to that. You need to know that that is the way it is. So you don't get shocked, you don't get angry, you don't get mad when that happens to you. Even in the place of work, everybody goes by their first name. Everything is just like casual. Do your work, I do my work, mind your business, I mind my business. So there's really no culture of respect like we see back home in Africa. So you need to get prepared. And for those who are worried about their children losing that culture or their children not having their culture, I think it's just the way you can do things. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how it can be done, but I feel like there's still some people who raise their children using the Nigerian culture or the African culture in their homes here in the West. But the thing is that I don't know how those kids will be able to relate with their peers, you know, when they grow up or when they start working. I don't know. I just don't know. So there's a possibility for there to be a mixed match of culture. If that's the right word, there could be a mismatch. Yeah, mixed match or mismatch, whatever, of culture when those kids begin to grow, or when they grow up and then they begin to relate with their peers or even their colleagues when they grow up and they start working. Regardless, I just want you guys to know that culture of respect, like we have it back home in Africa or in Nigeria, for those who are Nigerians, does not exist here. It does not exist. So be prepared. The other thing that is really hot amongst us Africans here in the West is the LGBTQ issue. I say issue, I call it an issue because for us who are Africans, we don't really have that LGBTQ community back home. So when I say LGBTQ, I'm referring to those who don't identify as heterosexual. So for most of us who are Africans, I would say majority, yeah, because I know that most African countries have laws against LGBTQ issues or LGBTQ communities. So LGBTQ means those who don't identify as heterosexual, people who have a different sexual orientation. So those are the lesbians, the gays, the bisexuals, the transgenders, the queers, and the others that are upcoming. So this category of people are those who don't, like the males don't, are not sexually attracted to females. Their females are not sexually attracted to males. They are different categories of people. Males are attracted to males, females are attracted to females, people changing their gender. People who are like males are changing their gender to females, females changing their gender to males, you know, all of that. You can read more about it if you're not really familiar with the LGBTQ community. So here in the West, the LGBTQ community are well protected. The laws are there to protect them. They are recognized under the law. They have rights. They have responsibilities just like every other person who is heterosexual. And precisely here in the US, I think December last year, President Biden passed a law protecting the LGBTQ community, recognizing them. Yeah, a federal law was passed to that effect. So I know that a lot of African parents will be so worried that their children will adopt this, should I say, culture of LGBTQ, or I don't know how well to put it, but I think majority of parents might be worried that their children will become part of the LGBTQ community. But one thing I just want to say is that everybody needs to chart a course. You need to plan on how you want to raise your kids. And I think the thing is that at the end of the day, you really can't tell your kids what they should do here in the West, because everybody has the rights. Once they're 18, you can't control them, you can't tell them what to do. Even when they are under 18, you can't really control them, you can't tell them what to do. So why am I sharing this? I'm sharing this just so that you are aware that these things exist, because when these children go to school, they see their friends, they see their peers who belong to this LGBTQ community. So the only thing I just want to say is that raise your children with love, raise them in love. And depending on what religion you belong to, if you're a Christian, I would say raise your children according to what your religion prescribes. If you're a Muslim, raise your children according to what your religion prescribes. So whichever way you want to handle it, just handle it with love in your heart. Raise your kids with love and teach them love. So to the next issue is quite common. It has been in existence forever and ever. It's the issue of racial discrimination. Discrimination has been in existence since before Christ, I believe, since BC, yes. And after Christ, there is still discrimination. But here I'm particularly about racial discrimination. So racial discrimination is just about the fact that sometimes if you are of a race that is different from the major race, or what they call the majority, there's a high probability that you will experience discrimination. So the real deal is that here in America where I live, blacks are discriminated against, brown skinned people are discriminated against. It's a norm, it's a normal thing. So discrimination occurs in different ways, in various forms, shapes, sizes, and to the extent that if you belong to a particular race, you might have discrimination when it comes to your pay, your salary, the kind of position you can hold, the kind of access you have when it comes to healthcare, even to various other things. So you will experience this discrimination, racial discrimination, in one way or the other. So be prepared, prepare your mind. If you're currently living in the West, I'm sure you must have experienced it in one way or the other. And if you're still in Africa, in any country in Africa, and you're planning to relocate anytime soon, prepare your mind for racial discrimination. These things are real. They occur in places of work, in the church, in stores where you get your daily needs. Racial discrimination is normal. So get yourself informed, get yourself prepared. The last and final point that I want to talk about is police killings and indiscriminate killings amongst black people, black unarmed men specifically. So I want to share this data with you, not to scare anyone, but just to get you informed. So according to Statista, the number of black people shot to death by the police since 2017 to now are about 1,353 people. Imagine 1,353 people have been shot just because of the race they belong to, the black race especially. If you're black, African American, it seems like your lives are not valued. It seems like our lives are not valued in the West. So a lot of young men have died. A lot of young black men have died just because of the color of their skin. And more shocking, in this year 2023 that we just newly started, 3 black men who were unarmed have been shot to death by the police. We have Kenan Anderson, who was shot to death on the 3rd of January. We have Tyree Nichols, who was shot to death on the 7th of January. And most recently, we have Alonzo Bagley, who was shot to death on the 3rd of February. So this is not to scare anyone, but I just wanted to bring this to your consciousness that these issues exist. And as parents, we need to be aware. We need to prepare our kids. We need to train our kids well. We need to get our kids informed. They need to be aware of this thing so that they are not shocked, so that it doesn't just come. This doesn't just happen to them and they are rudely shocked. Yeah, rudely shocked. Rudely shocked. So guys, parents especially, be aware, be informed. Begin to pray for your kids. If you can pray, if you believe in prayers, pray for your kids unborn and those that are already born, small kids, big kids. Begin to pray for them. Be aware. Read up on all these issues. Read up on how to protect your kids. Read up on where you should go, where you shouldn't go. Read up on how, I don't know, just get yourself informed. That's all from Monix on today's episode. Till we see you again. It's bye for now. Bye.